Sponsored by Surfshark. When I smashed a bottle of champagne across the bow of this channel and launched it 9 years ago, I promised you this.
I'm not a travel blogger, but if one of those cruise ships with a robot bartender pulls up to a Boston pier, I'm going to be on it. And you better believe you're coming with me.
Well, I no longer live in Boston, and maybe the travel blogger thing is debatable at this point. But today, I finally get to deliver on that cruise ship promise. OnePlus chose Royal Caribbean's Allure of the Seas as the media preview venue for its new smartphone. So I spent 3 days testing it on and below the decks before finishing my review with a week's worth of holiday use back in Brooklyn. I'm Michael Fisher, and this is the OnePlus 13. Join me for a look at the good, the great, the odd, and the ugly. Yes, the ugly too, because when a brand chooses something as lavish, or at least as lavish looking, as a cruise to launch a product, it's even more critical to cover that product with a skeptical eye. OnePlus's justification for the nautical venue is waterproofing. The new ultrasonic fingerprint sensor works while wet, so does the display, and the casing itself is the most internationally protected to hit the mainstream. I've talked about IP ratings a lot on this channel. These days, most bar-type flagship phones meet the IP68 standard, with 6 connoting that a phone is dust-tight, and the 8 indicating that it can take a prolonged dunk in at least a meter of water. The OnePlus 13 meets IP68 and IP69, which adds high-temperature water jets to the torture test. To prove it, OnePlus provided both a mobile dishwasher and a portable washing machine, and sure enough, the phones emerged warm, but otherwise unperturbed.
Almost too hot to hold. Also, I think we're in the middle of a phone call.
What relevance does this have for the average person? Honestly, almost none. Unless you're forgetful enough to leave your phone in your pocket during a laundry cycle, or germophobic enough that you need to disinfect it in the dishwasher. It's overkill, in other words. That's in keeping with OnePlus's established ethos of over-delivering on metrics for marketing points, and in my opinion, a byproduct of the same truth that's kept me from reviewing most non-foldable phones over the past year or so. They're boring, which means their makers need to keep finding new ways of standing out. In 2024, most companies depended on the dubious delights of AI to do that, mostly to their detriment. While OnePlus does offer Google Gemini and other bits of generative jetsam to appease the hype machine, it's fortunate that the company didn't forget to lean into its strengths in hardware as well. While the white and black versions are kind of whatever, the midnight ocean of my review device hits every note I want in a slab phone. Tactile vegan leather done up in distinctive blue, with an opalescent camera crater whose offset is counterbalanced by a centering stripe and a Hasselblad logo that hints at the potential lingering beneath its 3 lenses. It's the most maritime phone design I've seen in a while, and the only thing I'd change about it would be to swap the shiny side rails for a satin finish. There are also new earbuds in a matching colorway, and I hope some of this design language makes it to a future OnePlus watch. And mostly, I'm just pleased that American buyers have access to a high-quality phone with high-tier specs that has the courage to maintain its own visual identity, instead of aping the material and color choices of Apple, like Samsung insists on doing. Now, one Apple aspect I do wish OnePlus would emulate is that company's approach to wireless charging. For 2 years now, the Android world has waited for its version of MagSafe, with the magnetic power profile built into the new Qi 2 standard. This phone does include wireless charging, but not the magnets needed for MPP. That means if you want the phone to stick to a MagSafe charger, you need to slap a compatible case onto it. OnePlus's explanation for this is basically that adding magnets to a phone is hard, which is something I'm glad no one told Palm when it launched the first phone with magnetic wireless charging in 2009. If you're fine with the case, OnePlus does offer something fun and totally nonsensical: the AirVook magnetic charger. You plug your phone's cable into this little arc reactor and stick it on the back, and it charges the phone at 50 watts, while at the same time cooling it down with a built-in fan. I asked OnePlus why this exists, because look, if you have the cable anyway, you can charge at 80 watts without needing a case. And the phone already has a huge double vapor chamber for cooling built right in. And vapor chambers don't hiss like a tiny turbofan. The company told me that this thing is built mostly for the kind of extreme gamer who specifically needs that additional cooling. But for $80, it sure would have been nice if the thing had come with a cradle to turn it into a stand-up dock to make it useful for literally anyone else. That's a better explanation than I got for a mystery feature I'm gonna save till the end. First, I want to show you what this 5th-generation Hasselblad camera can do, right after this shark sighting. Surf shark, that is. Privacy is a big deal these days. And if you're looking for a way to protect that privacy, consider my sponsor, Surfshark. With Surfshark, you get a lot more than just a VPN. CleanWeb automatically blocks more than 1 million malicious websites, phishing methods, and other threats, while Alternative ID builds you a brand new online identity, so you can stop giving away your phone number or email every time you register on a new website. And with multi-hop, you can put more than one server between you and your destination for even greater privacy and security. Surfshark doesn't log its users' activity, a claim recently verified by a third-party audit from Deloitte, and it's also converted all of its infrastructure to diskless servers. That means that any information that would usually stay on hard drives is automatically deleted whenever those servers are turned off. Secure your privacy with Surfshark. Visit the link in the description and use coupon code MrMobile for an extra 4 months. Thanks to Surfshark for sponsoring this video. Being at sea is a singular experience. Sure, you're doing it in the context of a large-scale commercial cruise, so the food is hit or miss. Your fellow passengers range in age and maturity from 8 to 80, and there seems to be a rule forbidding any music made after the year 2000. The seas are stormy, so your offshore adventures are limited to an island the cruise line spent $250 million to convert into a milquetoast Midwest amusement park, complete with off-limits areas and class-segregated beaches.
Defend yourself. What kind of opinion is that? Nothing about that, M. Brandon Lee, looks any nicer.
Just that one area where there's no people over there.
I mean, yeah, but like, whatever. It's the same kind of horse as we got over here. Come on.
Fair.
Come on. Do not enter? Cool. I didn't want it.
And the ship herself is a mobile monument to the most base type of tourism, writ as large as a Finnish shipyard could manage. But while I stand by my snobbish critiques, I can't back them with any kind of venom. They all kind of dissipate into the ether, like spray ripped from a wave. Because all this is happening at sea. And there's something special about being separated from shore in this way. Isolated in languid leisure that's the total opposite of the frantic go fever of airports and airplanes. There's no sense of urgency. You look out to sea in any direction and you see nothing. And that prompts you to look inward to make sure you see, well, more than nothing. I'm using the OnePlus 13 to capture all this, if you didn't notice, and it surprises me not at all that I really enjoy the end results. I was skeptical about the Hasselblad OnePlus partnership when it was announced a few years back, but one thing I didn't count on was all phone cameras getting so competent that the one thing I truly wanted from them became an opinion. The exact filters I used to rail against as gimmicks have now become the flavors that keep me excited about phone photography. And the portrait modes I used to pick apart have become my preferred way to capture captains and crew, imposters and otherwise, in their element. And ditto for colleagues and comrades. If you doubt my sincerity on this, go check me on it. Rewatch my Oppo, OnePlus, Honor, and Xiaomi reviews from the past 2 years to see how my feelings have changed about these camera company collabs. What would I change? Well, the zoom camera, for one. No, it's impressive, letting me eavesdrop on the comings and goings of our pilot boat as we left harbor in Miami and the sunset sometime later. But the raw optics offer just 3x zoom, while 10x has been proven very doable by Samsung and 5x has sort of stabilized as the new standard. Optics is one area where specs still matter. And the new software trick, Action Mode, is great at freezing fast-moving objects, but only when it works. And that doesn't seem tied to any repeatable situation. It's very inconsistent. And as always, the mightier the motion of the ocean, the bigger the blur. And the lower the light gets, the more prone the camera becomes to demonic illusions. All the rest is your basic, yes, it works, from phone calls to screen brightness, and the battery life is as impressive as you'd expect from a 6,000 mAh pack doped with silicon. I appreciate any phone that lasts me through a second day, even when I forget to charge it overnight after the first. And actually, it probably would have lasted me longer if it weren't for Uber draining almost half my battery with under 4 minutes of screen-on time. Stay classy, Uber. Recharge time from dead to full with the included charger is a mere 45 minutes. And finally, that mystery feature I promised. Beacon Link. This is apparently carried over from OnePlus's corporate cousin, Oppo. It's an off-network mode that uses Bluetooth to directly connect with other OnePlus 13s, so you can make voice calls between them even if you have no cellular coverage. The quality is poor, and the app is so undercooked that, well, it's not even an app. It's a weird submenu buried in the settings with no customization or quick way to launch it, and truly, I have no idea why it's here. But I love it. Not just because I'll never get over Nextel, but because it shows that someone in the product pipeline gave some thought to a feature that could actually be useful for some folks without leaning on the tired old buzz crutch of generative AI. The OnePlus 13 is on sale now, with prices starting at $100 under $900, or about $1,000 for the blue one, with its added RAM and storage in tow. Now I'm waiting for the next OnePlus Open. But 10 days with the 13 tells me that if you're still into slab phones, and Android phones at that, well, it would be very easy to do worse than this. This video was produced following a week and a half with a OnePlus 13 review sample provided by OnePlus, which also, yes, launched it on a cruise, with all travel, lodging, and most food provided by OnePlus. Certainly a splashier junket than most phone launches. Nevertheless, as always, OnePlus had no editorial input into this video, no copy approval, no early previews, and no compensation changed hands in exchange for this coverage. These opinions are mine, and mine alone. Next up on the channel, CES 2025. I'm currently in Las Vegas as this video hits the server, so stay tuned for a roundup of whatever weirdness I've found on the show floor in Las Vegas. Until next time, from Michael Fisher, Captain Two Phones on all the socials, thanks for watching. And stay mobile, my friends.